I'm gonna give you 5 key exercises that you can use for basketball speed, and we're gonna start right now. So some of the big factors around basketball is that we have to look at the sport and the movements that we need to train for. There's going to be a large amount of endurance, but in this video, we're not gonna cover what you need to do to train that endurance-based aspect. We're gonna focus on the first step, the second step, the third step, things that are gonna help you have that transient speed. And if we can think about transient speed is looking at somebody who might be playing basketball and they can move really, really quickly, but they're not actually running at full speed. It's identifying that dude's fast. That dude just crossed somebody over really, really quickly. So we need to train that aspect. And we also need to be prepared for a lot of jumping. And we have to look at that and say, okay, what do we need to work on if we want to train speed for basketball? What muscles do we need to train? What joints do we need to look at? And so there's going to be a lot of shin angle changes. Shin angles will be very, very, very steep in the sport of basketball. Okay, that's what's going to trigger that transient speed, that massive amount of acceleration. We also need to have that trunk control so that we're not collapsing when we're changing that shin angle. So we need to focus on trunk control, ankle stability, ankle mobility. We need to focus on our glutes and our quads. And of course, we do need to train a little bit of those hamstrings as well. But all of those things are gonna factor into jumping higher and reacting faster so that we have that speed out on the court. Okay, so this first pairing, this is gonna be a little bit more traditional. And I want you guys to realize that I know a lot of basketball players don't really like to lift. So I'm not gonna push you to do crazy, crazy stuff, but I wanna provide an exercise that can really transfer well. And I'm gonna give you 2 alternatives here, okay? So the first movement is going to be a front squat. And I'm gonna implement the contrast method. And what that means is we're gonna do a simple strength movement, then we're gonna rest about 1.5 minutes, and then we're gonna do an explosive movement with that. I'm gonna do a front squat here, and I'm gonna actually use a box. Now, I'm 6 feet tall. I think I used to be 6'1", but I'm 39 years old, and I'm starting to get shorter. I like to use a box with really, really tall athletes. Okay, typically that box could be 20 inches, 16 inches, somewhere along those lines. For myself, individually, if I was, I'm 6 feet tall, I would probably use about a 14-inch box. So if you're training basketball players that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", it is okay to go to the box. And when I demonstrate this, I'm gonna show you to have a slow eccentric. So what I wanna do here, I'll get set, okay? I'm gonna get set near the box, and I'm gonna go nice and slow, and I wanna get a little pause, and then up. And you can even use a little cue from your strength coach, or even from yourself. You're here, 1, 2, 3, up, boom, okay? And we wanna go as quickly as possible. 1, 2, 3, boom, up fast, okay? So we wanna light up those quads. Remember, we talked about changing the shin angle, which will lead to more quad development, or will lead to more necessity around a stronger quad. It's also going to train our trunk control. I can already feel that. Now, I'm gonna give you a little option here. We can use a slant board, which will give us a little bit more of a shin angle. And if you want to use, instead of the front squat, if you are a big baby and you don't want a front squat, you can actually use goblet squat as well. But I would recommend, if you're going to a box, guys, grow up and just front squat. So here, I get set, need to make sure I'm on center. Here, okay. So I get my feet set. I can go 1, 2, 3, boom, oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, up, boom. So that is gonna light up our quads even more. Now, I mentioned this is gonna be a contrast. So we're gonna hit that 3 to 5 reps. I'm gonna rest about 1.5 minutes, and then we're gonna go over and we're gonna hit a nice jump. Okay, so we told you we're in that contrast series here. So we did the front squats. We rested 1.5 minutes. Now we did a bilateral squat movement. Okay, so in this contrast series, I wanna do a bilateral strength movement with a unilateral plyometric. So now look at this here, and what we're gonna think about is cutting and changing shin angles. So this is going to be a hide-in jump into a bound. And we can actually do this with our training partners and make it a little bit more competitive. But what I wanna see is rapid rates of cutting. Okay, so I'm gonna be here, cut, bound, bound, okay? So that's my demonstration speed. I'll go to the other side, and then I'll do it full speed as I fall off the box. So I'm gonna go here, cut, jump, bound, okay? So we're changing it up a little bit, and we do land with one bilateral movement, but the whole goal here is to make it really, really twitchy and really, really quick. We want to train that transient speed, and we want to train that absolute strength with that front squat. So we're gonna go here, boom, 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 boom. Okay, and we'll go to the other side. Don't judge my jumping too much, it's early in the morning. I'm here, boom, 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 boom. Okay, so we can go through that 2 times, rest about 2.5 minutes, and then get back into those front squats. Okay, so this next drill is going to be a Sanders cut to a box. Okay, and what you're gonna see is how we can change our shin angle. We can accelerate, we got a little bit of a reflexive movement here. So this is an exercise that you could do on athlete day. This is a movement that's gonna help with chaos coordination. When you can coordinate in chaos, that leads to that transient speed. So we're gonna be here, okay? And I'll go slowly. I wanna plant, and when I plant, I'm gonna lower the plate. Plant, up, okay? So if I go to this side, see if my old brain can remember, I'm here, boom, boom, okay? So we wanna cut to each side. So we're here, plant, plant, drive forward, and that's gonna give us that shin angle change, okay? So that's the main focus here. So now a little bit quicker. And I recommend, I got a 35, you could use a 25, you could use a 15-pound dumbbell if you want. We're gonna go here, boom, boom, okay? Boom, 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 boom. One more. Boom. Oh, got owned. Boom, boom. So use that 5 doubles to each side. Make sure you feel this cut here from the hip. You know, you're controlling with the glute. Change the shin angle, feel the quad, drive forward. It's gonna help with your basketball speed. I'm gonna give you 2 exercises that you can use in a contrast, and I'm gonna give you some variations that you can choose from. So basketball players are extraordinarily tall, so we need to build up their posterior chain. We need to get them stronger so they can bully people around out on the court, but they also need to be healthy. I'm not a huge lover of trap bar work, but for tall individuals, they're absolutely fantastic, okay? And they do help with strength from the quads all the way to the posterior chain. So they are a very good movement. I don't hate them. I just think there's better alternatives for people who aren't, you know, 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". So I'm gonna show you 2 exercises here. We could either do, what I wanna start with would just be a trap bar deadlift. And ideally we could get basketball players working up to 315, 405 or something crazy like that, where we know they're really strong. That would be about 10 to 12 weeks out from the season. So that would be during the comprehension phase. Okay, so we're gonna be here, just a straight trap bar, okay? Up, boom, okay? As we get closer to the season, that trap bar dead can turn into something more explosive. So as we're getting into the summit phase where we're getting closer to that peak, now we can look like this. Boom, boom. Okay, 3 to 5 reps. What I recommend though, 5 sets of 5 on the trap bar deadlift, 5 sets of 3 if we're gonna do the jumps. We're gonna rest about 1.5 to 2 minutes, and we're gonna do that contrast exercise, and I'm gonna give you 2 variations that you can use depending upon where you're at with the season. Okay, so one thing with basketball players is that oftentimes, especially high school kids, they really, really favor jumping off of one leg over another. And as you get more advanced on the court, one thing that you can do is get really good at jumping off of both legs. And that means jumping bilaterally, jumping off the left leg, and jumping off the right leg, okay? If you can do that, you can change the way that you're attacking somebody. So the main goal here is that we can develop that speed and we can develop that jumping ability in the weight room. So we need to focus on jumping off the left leg, jumping off the right leg, okay? So I'm a left-footed jumper. One thing that I should be doing then is I should be jumping off my weak leg first. So I'm gonna demonstrate the single leg stair jump with my weak leg first. Don't judge me too much. And one of the big factors around jumping on the steps is that it changes your shin angle, okay? Remember we talked about that, but it also decreases that eccentric load when you're landing. So what that can do is that with bigger people that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", if they're not overly strong, it can help prevent injuries to a point while still helping them learn the co-contraction skills that they need to be faster. A simple thing, let's just say I go every 2 jumps on my right leg to start. I'm here, boom, 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 okay? And I can do the exact same thing on my left leg. That wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Boom, boom, okay? And what we can do then, if we have a good bleacher set up, we got steps at the high school, wherever we are, we can start to play games and alter cones on those steps. So I did 2, now let's see if I can do 3. Here, I just ruined it. Here, boom, oh, boom. That was terrible. Let me do my left leg so I can demonstrate how much better my left leg is. I'm here, boom, boom, boom. Now, you can see just adding that step makes it a lot more challenging. And I sort of sucked at the 3 jumps, so at the 3 steps. So use that as a coach or as an athlete to try and improve that. And if I do this over the next 5, 6, 7 weeks, as I get ready to get into that summit phase to peak, now all of a sudden, I'm reacting a lot quicker. Now the second jump I'm gonna show you is going to be a bilateral jump. This is gonna be a bilateral stair jump. Okay, so I'm here, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so I got up 3 jumps, well, 3 in 2 steps. Ideally, I hit that trap bar deadlift, I rest about 1.5 to 2 minutes. Where I hit the trap bar jumps, I rest about 1.5 to 2 minutes. First time up, I didn't make it to the top. Second time, hopefully I learned the movement a little bit better. I'm a little bit more reactive and I can get to the top in just 3 jumps. Ooh. Okay, so we wanna learn those skills of reacting quickly. And it all goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. Basketball is a sport of transient speed. We gotta focus on changing those shin angles. We gotta make sure that we're training the right joints, the right muscles, quads, glutes, hammies. Make sure we're working through all these different ranges of motion and improving bilaterally and unilaterally, and that's gonna help you out on the court. So use all of these different movements to improve your overall training. I would put some of them on an impulse day and I would put others on that athlete day, and that's exactly what we do inside of our app, Peak Strength. You can go into Peak Strength, download that today at peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store, and we will have that basketball program laid out with these movements to help you attain that peak strength. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.